नमामि धन्वन्तरिम् आदिदेवम् सुरैवन्दितं पादपद्मम् लोके जरारुग्भयं मृत्युनाशं धातारमीशं विविधौषधीनामम शङ्खचक्रं जलौका दधदमृतघटम् चारुदुर्भिश्चतुर्भिः सूक्ष्मस्वच्छातिहृदयांशुक परिविलसन्मालिमं भोजनेत्रं कालाम्भोदोज्ज्वलाङ्गकटितट विलासचारु पीताम्बराढ्यं वन्दे धन्वन्तरितं निखिल गदवनप्रौढ दावाग्निलीलं गदवनप्रौढ दावाग्निलीलम् ॐ धन्वन्तरये नमः। ॐ धन्वन्तरये नमः। ॐ धन्वन्तरये नमः।
सचिव पांडुरंग, आजचे वक्ते डॉक्टर श्रीहरी आणि ज्या मान्यवरांचा आपण सन्मान करतो आहे, डॉक्टर श्रावण रापनवाट, डॉक्टर माधव पाटील, डॉक्टर वीरभद्र हिमगिरे, डॉक्टर रामराव शिरामे, डॉक्टर रणजित काळे, डॉक्टर गव्हाणे, डॉक्टर सौ गव्हाणे, आमचे सर्व ज्येष्ठ नाना, स्वामीसाहेब, सीतानगरे साहेब, इंगोले साहेब, सर्व डॉक्टर्स आणि आपण सर्व आयुष्यामध्ये अनेक त्यांना संकट आली, ते सर्व पार करत करत ही इज रीचिंग 80. सर, तुमच्या ज्येष्ठत्वाला, तुमच्या ज्ञानाला मी सर्वांच्या वतीनं आय सॅल्यूट यू. हे जे मान्यवर बसलेत आमचे नेते सर्व, वैद्यकीय क्षेत्र, डॉक्टर इज द बेस्ट लीडर असं म्हणायला हरकत नाही. सुरुवात आमदार साहेबापासून सुरू होते. बाकी मतभेद असावेत पण मनभेद असू नयेत, आणि ते नाहीत हे मी अगदी खात्रीनं सांगू शकतो. शेवटी प्रत्येक कारण अपवर्ड ग्रोथ इज मस्ट फॉर पॉलिटिक्स. एक डॉक्टर ॲट अ टाईम एकच पेशंट पाहतो. आय एम रिअली प्राऊड दॅट वी आर डॉक्टर्स. पण एक जाणता नेता असेल तर अख्ख्या समाजाचं, गावाचं तो नेतृत्व करून विकास करू शकतो. व्याख्याच आहे सर, डॉक्टर इज अ डॉक्टर, डॉक्टर इज अ टीचर, डॉक्टर इज अ लीडर, डॉक्टर इज अ प्लीडर, डॉक्टर इज अ गाईड, डॉक्टर इज अ गार्डियन. हे मी नेहमी सांगतो आणि हे PSMमध्ये शिकवलं जातं. तर हे डॉक्टर या सगळ्या भूमिकेमध्ये आहेत. या सगळ्यांना मी शुभेच्छा देतो. श्रीहरी बुडगेमवारचा आज आपण लगेच CME घेतो आहे. टॉपिक इज व्हेरी सिम्पल, रेडिओ डायग्नोस्टिक्स इन जनरल प्रॅक्टिस. सर, आपले डॉक्टरांची संघटना ही समाजाच्या वैद्यकीय, सामाजिक, सांस्कृतिक, राष्ट्रीय कार्यात सतत सहभागी असते. मी तुमचं स्टार्ट वेल बिगिन इज वेल डन म्हणायला हरकत नाही. मी राहुल पांडुरंग यांचं सगळ्या संघटना म्हणजे पोलादी मनगट, तर ही आपली संघटना राहिली तर ते एक कवच कुंडल राहणार आहे. तर मतभेद विसरून जाऊन सर्वांनी सदैव संघटनेसाठी वेळ द्यावा. योगदान द्यावं अशी मी विनंती करतो. कारण ही संघटना IMAची पण ब्रांच आहे सर इथं. पण आम्ही सगळ्या तालुक्याची ज्याच्यामध्ये MD, MBBS, BAMS, DHMS ऑल टुगेदर अशी संघटना स्थापन केलेली आहे. तर या सर्व आज तुमच्या सन्मानासाठी तालुक्यातले डॉक्टर आलेत. तर सर्वांनी ही संघटना अधिक मजबूत होण्यासाठी प्रयत्न करावेत अशी विनंती करतो आणि या ठिकाणी थांबतो.
मला वाटतं की दादाचीच ही खरी गोम आहे की तिथूनच आम्ही सर्वजण राजकारणात आलेलो. दादा जर आले नसते तर ही वाट पडली नसती आणि आम्ही राजकारणात आलोही नसतो. त्याचबरोबर आणण्यापूर्वी एक मी किस्सा सांगतो. आमदार साहेब आहे का, त्यावेळेस आपणही काँग्रेस पक्षात होतो आणि माधव पाटील BJPमध्ये होते. मग त्यावेळेस भास्करराव पाटील खतगावकर आणि DB पाटलांची लढत झाली. आम्ही वेगवेगळ्या पक्षाचा प्रचारही केलो. पण ज्यावेळेस मतदानाची प्रक्रिया सुरू झाली मग काउंटिंगला आम्ही दोघं मिळून गेलो, एकाच गाडीमध्ये गेलो. पण तिथे गेल्यानंतर ते BJPच्या ह्याच्यात गेले, मी काँग्रेसच्या ह्याच्यात गेलो. म्हणजे अशी आमची मैत्री होती आणि आताही आहे. मी एक उदाहरण तर सांगेन. या छोट्याशा कार्यक्रमामध्ये, घरगुती किंवा आपल्या वैद्यकीय संस्थेच्या कार्यक्रमामध्ये आम्हा सर्वांचा सत्कार केला, त्याबद्दल मी वैद्यकीय संस्थेचे सर्वांच्या वतीनं पुनश्च एकदा आभार मानतो आणि थांबतो. धन्यवाद.
उपस्थित मान्यवर, माझ्या अध्यक्षपदाच्या कारकिर्दीची सुरुवात ह्या कार्यक्रमातून सुरू होत आहे. आपले भूमिपुत्र नवीन आलेले रेडिओलॉजिस्ट डॉक्टर श्रीहरी यांचा CMA आपण आपल्याला सगळ्यांना प्रॅक्टिसमध्ये उपयोगी व्हावं त्यासाठी ठेवलेले आहे. एवढे बोलून माझे 2 शब्द थांबवतो.
डॉक्टर श्रीहरी आणि आजचे सर्व सत्कारमूर्ती आणि श्रोतागणातील उपस्थित असलेले सर्व यशोदीप गाठलेले आपापल्या क्षेत्रात सर्व वैद्यकीय संस्थेचे सदस्य, जीवनामध्ये मला आजही झालं तर मी फार अत्यंत सामान्य समजतो. मला कुठल्याही क्षेत्रामध्ये परफेक्शन नाही आहे. तरी पण माझ्या जीवनामध्ये माझ्या पुढे आलेला कुणी पण विद्यार्थी, माझा मित्र, गावकरी, माझे कॉलेजचे मित्र, नांदेडचा सहवास, नांदेडचे मित्र, नांदेडचा पूर्ण समाजातील सर्व जाती स्तरातील, आर्थिक स्तरातील सर्वांना मी कुणालाही कोणत्याही परिस्थितीमध्ये नाही म्हणून सांगितलं नाही. सर्वांचीच कामं केली. त्यातला माझा आत्मानंद असा आहे की माझ्या क्लिनिकमध्ये 81 नंतर आत्तापर्यंत 70 मुलं ज्यांना कंजनायटल हार्ट डिझीज आहे, ASD, VSD, PDA, अजून काही ह्या लोकांना कलर डॉपलर केल्यावर प्रत्येक ठिकाणी जाण्यासाठी नारायणा इन्स्टिट्यूट, तिकडे इन्स्टिट्यूट 5 लाख रुपये लागतील. सर्वजण माझ्याकडे कोणीतरी काहीतरी सांगायचं यायचं. मी त्यांना बसून माझी OPD काढून थोडा वेळ सांगायचो, बाबा तुमचं ऑपरेशन फ्री होईल, हे तुमचा विश्वास बसणार नाही. मी त्यांना पत्र द्यायचो, पुठ्ठ्यापुरतीला 4 वेळा जा, तुमचं इन्फेक्शन कमी होईल, मांसल भाग वाढवला जाईल, तुमची इम्युनिटी वाढवला जाईल, तुम्हाला ऑपरेशनला स्टँड केला जाईल. 4 वेळा जावं लागेल. आळंदी ते पंढरपूर इतकी यात्रा आहे. पैसे जाण्या येण्याचेच आहेत. तिथं तुम्हाला एकही पैसा लागणार नाही. अशा 60 ते 70 लोकांचं कंजनायटल हार्ट डिझिजेस तिथं ऑपरेशन करून दिले. माझा त्यात काही सहभाग नाही, फक्त माझं मार्गदर्शन. पण त्याच्यानंतर माझा सत्कार प्रत्येकाचा. अरे म्हटलं माझं काय? ते म्हटलं तसं नाही, पण ठिकाण कोणतं कोणाला माहिती होतं, तुम्हीच सांगितलं म्हणून ते झालं. हा एक आत्मा पंचक्रोशीत जाईल, माझ्या लोकांची सेवा करेन. त्यानिमित्ताने मी 81ला राजीनामा देऊन ह्या क्षेत्रात आलो. मुखेडला दर महिन्याला यायचो मी. त्यावेळी ज्यावेळेला माझी प्रॅक्टिस होते त्यावेळी मला वाटतं त्यावेळी फार लोक नव्हती. आमचे कोडगिरे साहेब होते, स्वामी साहेब होते, इंगोले साहेब होते, सीतानगरे साहेब होते त्या काळात. नंतर तुम्ही सगळेजण आलात. हे एवढं संख्या, अगणित संख्या पाहून मला माझं मन भरून आलं की माझ्या मुखेडला एवढी लोकं आहेत, इतके लोक प्रॅक्टिस करतात, मन भरून आलं.
वैद्यकीय संस्था आणि IMA परिवारातील ज्या सदस्यांनी वैद्यकीय सेवेबरोबरच राजकीय क्षेत्रामध्ये आपलं योगदान दिलं आहे, अशा डॉक्टरांचा सन्मान आणि रेडिओ डायग्नोसिस या विषयावरच्या CMEचं आयोजन या सर्व आणि या सत्रानंतर ज्यांचं CMEच्या माध्यमातून आपल्या सर्वांना मार्गदर्शन होणार आहे ते आपले सर्वांचे तरुण सहकारी डॉक्टर श्रीहरी बुडगेमवार. 3 कार्यक्रम एकत्र या ठिकाणी आयोजन केलेलं आहे. कोरोनाच्या पार्श्वभूमीवर मागच्या काळामध्ये एकत्र जमण्याची आपल्याला प्रशासनाकडून आपल्याला परमिशन नव्हती, नाहीतर हे प्रत्येक कार्यक्रम वेगवेगळे करता आले असते. डॉक्टर पत्तेवर साहेबांच्या प्रदीर्घ आणि उल्लेखनीय योगदानाबद्दल MUHS नाशिक यांनी नुकताच त्यांचा जीवन गौरव पुरस्कार देऊन सन्मान केलेला आहे. आणि ही आपल्या सर्वांसाठी, मुखेडकरांसाठी ही अतिशय गर्वाची, अभिमानाची बाब आहे. मी आपल्या सर्वांना विनंती करतो की आपण सर्वांनी टाळ्या वाजवून त्यांचं त्या ठिकाणी स्वागत करावं. सगळ्या डॉक्टरांना दाखवून झालं, पण मला काही कमी होत नव्हतं, म्हणून मला माझ्या वडिलांनी एकदा त्यांच्याकडे घेऊन गेले आणि त्याच्यानंतर मला त्यांनी औरंगाबादला रेफर केलं सरांनी. त्याच्यानंतर म्हणजे माझा तो बालपणीचा जो काही आजार होता तो कायमचा बरा झाला. तेवढं एक मला त्यांची एक आठवण माझ्या स्मरणामध्ये आहे. आणि दुसरी आठवण की माझी मुलगी म्हणजे पुढचं जनरेशन ती पण खूप आजारी पडायची. तेव्हा पण माझ्या वडिलांनी सांगितलं की आता तू पत्त्यावर साहेबाकडे घेऊन जा. म्हणजे त्यांना पत्त्यावर साहेबच म्हणून म्हणायचे सगळेजण. तर त्यांच्याकडं मी दाखवलं आणि साहेबांनी आता या ठिकाणी उल्लेख केला गेला की एथिकल प्रॅक्टिसबद्दल त्यांचं नाव होतं. त्यांनी फक्त एकच टॅब्लेट दिली आणि ती बरी झाली. एवढ्या 2 आठवणी त्यांच्या मला म्हणजे आठवतात मला. मागच्या वर्षभरापासून डॉक्टर श्रीहरी बुडगेमवार हे मुखेडला अतिशय चांगलं काम करत आहेत. 7-10 वर्षापूर्वी मी जेव्हा मुखेडला आलो डिप्लोमा केल्यानंतर, तर त्यावेळेस माझ्या कुटुंबातला कोणीही माणूस मी मुखेडला प्रॅक्टिस करावं असं त्यांची इच्छा नव्हती. नांदेडला जागा बघितली, सगळ्या गोष्टी मी त्या ठिकाणी फायनलाईज केल्या, परंतु माझी मुखेडकडे फार ओढ होती. आणि या दरम्यान मी पुंडे साहेबांना भेटलो, साहेबांना आठवण असेल. आणि पुंडे साहेबांनी मला सांगितलं की तू मुखेडला प्रॅक्टिस कर, तुला नांदेडला जेवढे पैसे भेटतील तेवढे पैसे तुला मुखेडला भेटणार नाहीत, परंतु इथं प्रॅक्टिस करता करता तुला बऱ्याच काही गोष्टी पुढे करता येतील. अनेक वर्षापासून तुझ्या कुटुंबाला राजकीय वारसा आहे. आता पुंडे साहेब म्हणजे नक्कीच माझ्यापेक्षा वयाने अनुभवाने मोठे होते. त्यांना जे दिसलं ते त्यांनी सांगितलं. त्यांनी मला सांगितलं की आता इथून पुढे जे राजकारण आहे त्या ठिकाणी तुझ्यासारखी शिकलेली मुलं पुढे आली पाहिजेत. आणि मला असं वाटतं की तू इथं आलास तर भविष्यामध्ये तुला चांगली संधी भेटू शकते. मी बाकी कुणाचंही ऐकलं नाही आणि फक्त पुंडे साहेबांच्या बोलण्यावरती विश्वास ठेवून मी मुखेडला प्रॅक्टिस सुरू केली. नंतरचं सगळे घटनाक्रम आपल्या सर्वांना माहीत आहेत. माझ्या वडिलांचं जाणं, त्यानंतर मी राजकारणात येणं आणि पुन्हा दुसऱ्यांदा जिंकणं. आणि तिथं म्हणजे जिथं मी प्रॅक्टिस केली त्या ठिकाणची ती जागा रिकामी होती. डॉक्टर हिमगिरे साहेब असतील, उच्चकर साहेब असतील, आम्ही अनेक लोकांना या ठिकाणी बोलायचा प्रयत्न केला की नांदेडपेक्षा आज नांदेडमध्ये सॅच्युरेशन झालेलं आहे. ज्यावेळेस मी प्रॅक्टिस करायचो तेव्हा नांदेडला फक्त 20 लोक सोनोग्राफी करायचे. आज नांदेडमध्ये 60 लोक सोनोग्राफी करतात. तर मुखेडला जास्त स्कोप आहे असं आम्ही अनेक लोकांना सांगितलं, परंतु तरुण लोकांमध्ये मोठ्या शहरांकडे जायचं ओढ आहे, त्याच्यामुळं मुखेडला यायला कोणी तयार नव्हतं. 1-2 लोक मुखेडला आली, पण त्यांनीही नंतर पळ काढला. परंतु श्रीहरीने या ठिकाणी येऊन आपले पाय रोवले आणि चांगलं काम या ठिकाणी तो करत आहे. आणि जे काही त्या ठिकाणी जे काही लॅकुना होता तो त्यांनी भरून काढला आहे. त्यामुळं मी श्रीहरीचं मनापासून या ठिकाणी मी स्वागत करतो. CME या ठिकाणी त्यांनी अरेंज केलेली आहे. आपलं सर्वांचं नॉलेजही येतं तो अपडेट करेल. वैद्यकीय संस्था आणि IMAने या ठिकाणी या कार्यक्रमाचं आयोजन केलं. या सत्कारमूर्तीबद्दल आपण माझाही सन्मान केला, त्याबद्दल त्यांच्याही या ठिकाणी मी आभार व्यक्त करतो. आणि आपल्या सर्वांना मी माझ्या वतीनं शुभेच्छा देतो आणि माझी रजा घेतो. जय हिंद.
And this is the hard shadow. Coming to the next slide, this is the right dome of diaphragm and this is the left dome of diaphragm, which are of moon shaped. And in this case we have to see these angles. These are the CP angles. So this is right diaphragm and this is the left hemi diaphragm. And these are the ribs. And in subsequent slide I will show you the anterior and posterior ribs, how we usually count the ribs, anterior ribs and the posterior ribs. So in every chest radiograph we need to observe this shadow. This is known as the gastric bubble or fundak bubble shadow, and this is always on right side. This should not be on the right side. This is always on the left side and the marker is on right. So this is a normal radiograph. So next thing, whenever we see the chest radiograph or chest x-ray, we have to see the patient details, the name of the patient, age of the patient, date which was taken, and the PA or AP projection, and the name of the hospital. So this data or patient details is very much important. And to have the good quality of the film, these are the 4 factors which are very much important, and the quality of the film is remembered by the mnemonic RIPE, which stands for rotation, inspiration, projection and exposure. One by one we'll discuss. So when we say that the X-ray is in a good position, so this is the trachea, as we have already discussed. This the yellow arrow indicates the trachea, and which is in a center of this. These are the both medial ends of the clavicles, and this trachea should be in center. So we say this is an ideal X-ray and there is no rotation. So this is a rotated film, and in this case what is happening, there is a patch or white patch is seen in left lower zone, which we may tend to say it as a consolidation, and it is difficult to know if trachea is deviated to one side by the disease or if the patient is got rotated. So here we can appreciate the trachea is not in a center. The trachea is moved towards the right side and as compared to this side. So this is a patient in a rotation, and in this case what happens, we may tend to comment it as a cardiomegaly, because here the cardiothoracic ratio, the distance between the two heart borders, that is in subsequent slide I will discuss the cardiothoracic ratio, how we calculate. So in this case, this cardiothoracic ratio, the heart is enlarged, so we may tend to call it as a cardiomegaly in this case, but it is actually not. And next problem occurs when the patient is rotated, as already I have told. This we label it as a question mark consolidation. Why? Because it may be due to rotation or it may be due to pathology. So ideal X-ray is very much important. So next important factor in the quality of film is the inspiration. So patient needs to take a good inspiration. Whenever patient, what is the meaning of good inspiratory film or good inspiratory effort? Diaphragm should be intersected by the 5 to 6 anterior ribs, and the posterior ribs should be visible 8 to 10 ribs. And if it is less, that is a sign of incomplete inspiration, and the more than 7 ribs, that is a hyperinflation. So here the X-ray number, the heart is getting magnified. So there is a cardiomegaly, and the basal left lower zone, there is a patch is there, so pneumonitis. So we tend to label it as a pneumonia. So coming to the next radiograph, this is the X-ray number 2. In this case, if we will count the ribs, the anterior ribs, in this case there are 6 anterior ribs. Means what? This is an ideal chest X-ray which is having the all 6 ribs are covered, and this is a good inspiratory film, which is a normal film. So in this case, the heart shadow appears normal, and the cardiothoracic ratio is within normal limits. So if you will compare the both films, this is the expiratory film and this is the inspiratory film, doctors, and let me tell you, these two patients are same patients. So suppose if we are taking this is a good inspiratory film, this will be normal and this will be labeled as a abnormal X-ray. So we need a very good inspiration film to comment on the chest X-ray. So why it occurs? Diaphragm pulls the undersurface of heart down during the good inspiration, which is absent in expiratory phase. And the failure to distend the lungs fully can cause crowding of vessels at the lung bases, and which results in the lung infection, may simulate the lung infection or consolidation. Coming to the next factor in the quality of film, that is the projection. So projection, there are two, basically in day-to-day practice we use two projections, that is anterior posterior view and the PA view. So we'll discuss what is PA view. PA stands for posterior anterior view, and in this case, if you see the X-ray beam and the patient distance is 180 centimeters approximately, or 6 feet distance is the ideal distance. And in this case, the X-rays beams are passing posteriorly to anteriorly where the cassette or the film is placed. So this is called as a posterior anterior view. So moving to the next, anterior posterior view. In this case, the patient will be in sitting position or the patient will be in a lying down position. Why the anterior posterior view is taken? Whenever patient is not able to stand, in ICU cases where patient can't be mobilized, then the role of anterior AP view comes, and here the X-ray beams are closer to the patient chest and the X-rays are passing from anterior to the posterior. So it is called as the anterior posterior view. So this is a normal chest X-ray, how it looks. We have to see these all factors, whether the trachea is in center, whether there is a marker which is right side, and we have to label the film PA or AP view, and then we have to check all the factors which we have discussed. Coming to the posterior anterior view, this is a normal PA view, where just now I have described the beam of the X-ray are passing from posterior to the anterior, where the patient is placing his or her hands on the hip, or patient will place his or her arms to the wall. And why it is important? Because whenever these hands are placed on the hip, the scapula gets retracted and we get a good image. So in this case, the edge of scapula, we can see this is the edge on the right side and this is the edge of scapula on the left side. So this is not interfering with the lung fields. So in this case, the cardiothoracic ratio is also normal. The cardiothoracic ratio means the cardiac distance between the both cardias and the distance of mediastinum, which should be less than 50%. So this is an ideal X-ray and this is a PA X-ray. Coming to the anterior posterior view, already as we have discussed, the X-ray beams are passing anterior to posterior. But in this case, there is a disadvantage of the AP film. Why? Because if you see, there is no scapular retraction, or patient is not placing his or her arms away from the body. So there is a overlap of scapula in between the lung fields. This lung field is getting obscured by these scapulae. So edge of scapulae interfere with the lung fields. And in this case, what is happening is, this is the cardiothoracic ratio. In this case, the heart appears enlarged. So heart is bigger in this case, and we may tend to call it as cardiomegaly. But we should remember, we should not comment the heart size on AP view. because it is only and only commented on a PA view. And in this case, there is a why it occurs, because the X-ray tube, as I previously told, the X-ray tube is very close to the patient, and there is magnification of heart occurs, and because of that, the cardia will be enlarged in AP view, and so this is not an actual cardiomegaly. So that's why we need a labeling, either this is AP or a PA view. Coming to the last factor in the quality of the film, that is exposure. So ideal exposure, this is an ideal chest X-ray. In ideal exposure, we should remember the spine, which is this is the spine. The spine should looks only faintly it is visible. Means this is an ideal X-ray. If the spine is visible on chest X-ray, means that is an overexposed film. Coming to the approach. So how to approach a chest X-ray? To everyone, there are 2 to 3 approaches: outside in approach, inside out approach, and the ABCDE approach. I prefer ABCDE approach. A stands for airway, B stands for breathing and bone, C stands for cardia, D stands for diaphragma, and E stands for everything else. So one by one we'll discuss. Coming to the factor A, that is in airway, what we look? We look for the trachea, carina, and the bronchus. So this is the X-ray number 6. Here we can see, we have seen the normal radiograph. So here the right lung field looks normal, but there is a haziness, or the left hemithorax is opaque. Means what? There is a left lung field is not visualized, and everything is white on the left side. And in this case, the trachea, if you will observe, the trachea is shifted to the right. Means what? There is some pathology over here which is pushing the trachea towards right side. And this is the case of anyone? Yes, very good, sir. This is a case of massive pleural effusion. So because of that, the trachea is getting shifted towards right side. And coming to the next interesting X-ray, X-ray number 7, which in this case, as I told, the lungs look black on the chest radiograph. Why? Because in lungs there is a air. But here, if you will see, the left lung field appears normal, but the right lung field looks darker to me. It is more dark as compared to left, and here we can see there is no vascular markings. Here we can appreciate the vascular markings, but in this right lung field we won't see any vascular markings. So this is the classical case of pneumothorax, right? This is the labeled area, and this is the classical case of pneumothorax. Coming to the next X-ray, here again we are seeing on right side there is a right hemithorax, means there is a white patch involving entire lung. Entire lung is not seen, but in this case the trachea is shifted to the same side. So there is some pathology which is pulling the trachea towards it. So this is a case of collapse. Yes, this is an exactly trachea is pulled and the right sided lung is totally collapsed. So coming to the next part, that is B, that stands for breathing and bones. Coming to the X-ray, this is very important X-ray because nowadays in last year we have seen all corona cases. So in this X-ray what we are seeing is there is a patch involving right middle zone, lower zone, and as well as left lower zone. So this is the big patch which is known as the consolidation. Here is also there is a patch and here is also patch. So these whitish patches or white opacities known as consolidation, and which is called as pneumonia. So in corona or COVID also we see the same picture, and their bilateral lower zone involvement is predominantly, and peripheral involvement we have seen. But this consolidation may be in bacterial pneumonia as well. So we need a proper clinical history to label it as it is a consolidation and pneumonia only. So coming to the next X-ray, here we are seeing some abnormality. This is the round opacity noted in left hilar region abutting in mid zone, and this is nothing but this is a mass which is the solitary mass, and this needs to be proven on biopsy and HR or CT thorax. So coming to the next X-ray, the X-ray shows there are multiple opacities involving in both lungs, multiple round opacities which are marked. These are the multiple round opacities. Anyone? Metastasis. This is, yes, it is a cannonball metastasis. And the most common cancer which goes to the lungs are like prostatic cancer, renal cancer, GIT, gastrointestinal tract malignancies present these cannonball mets. Coming to the next X-ray which we routinely encountered in our clinical practice, this is known as the hole in the lung. We can see there is a white patch and in between there is a black area, and this looks like a hole in the lung, and this is known as cavitatory lesion, and the cavitatory lesion is most commonly seen in our Indian scenario in tuberculosis. Tubercular abscess is the most common. Then it can be present in sarcoidosis, it can be other etiologies, it can be present in malignancies as well, or superadded infections like fungal infections. So this is a cavitatory lesion. Coming to the next X-ray, in this case we can see there are multiple ill-defined opacities or haziness noted involving bilateral lung fields predominantly in the hilar regions, hilar and perihilar regions, and in this case we can see the typical the typical pattern which is known as a bat wing appearance and which is seen in pulmonary edema. Yes. So coming to the next X-ray, this patient had a history of, this patient was absolutely fine 5 days back, and he had a history of aspiration, and in this case the patient he presented with multiple ill-defined opacities in bilateral lung fields diffusely involved and CP angles. So coming to the CP angles, the red arrow which indicates the CP angles, this is known as costophrenic angle, and this should be seen clearly if there is any blunting or any obscuration of this CP angle that suggests a pleural effusion. So coming to the next X-ray, here we are not able to appreciate the CP angle, and there is a homogeneous opacity in right lower lobe, and we can see this linear tract and this portion of lung showing no vascular markings. So this is an example of, yes, this is an example of hydropneumothorax. And coming to the next part, that is as well. So here there are multiple rib fractures are noted on left hand side. Coming to the cardiac portion, that is C, in this case, as the right heart border, this is the right heart border which is predominantly formed by the right atrium and next right ventricle, and the left heart border is formed by the predominantly left ventricle. So in this case, next important thing is assessment of the heart. The cardiothoracic ratio, what is cardiothoracic ratio? The cardiac width divided by the thoracic width, which should be less than 0.5% or 50%. So in this case, the cardiac size is always assessed in a PA view. And moving to the next chest radiograph, here we can appreciate this is the distance, this is the distance between two cardias, and this is the distance between the mediastinum. So that this distance exceeds this distance by this is, in this case it is approximately 70%, so it is labeled as a cardiomegaly. So there is a heart is enlarged in this case, and this ratio, the cardiothoracic ratio, is exceeding more than 50%. It is more than 50%, so we label it as a cardiomegaly. So this is a case of cardiomegaly. Coming to the diaphragma, and in initial slides I have told you that this shadow is normal. This is a funduc stomach bubble shadow, but we are seeing one more shadow in right hemidiaphragm. So this is an acute emergency. In case of perforation we see this, and this is known as, anyone? This is known as pneumoperitoneum. So coming to the E part in reading the chest radiograph, That is everything else we have to see look for. And in this case, we can appreciate this is the next X-ray which is showing this tube is appreciated. This is a nasogastric tube or the Ryle's tube. So the tip of nasogastric tube sits below the diaphragm and which is normal. So coming to the next tube, we can appreciate that there is a tube in the trachea which is nothing but a endotracheal tube, and this tube should be, this is the carina, no? So tip should be 3 to 4 centimeter above the carina level. So this is also in a normal positioned endotracheal tube we have to see. So this is the next X-ray number 22, which shows the normal IJV catheter which is extending just up to the right hila and which is just above the carina. Next thing, in this case, we are appreciating these, some wires are there. These are the sternotomy wires in post CABG patients or post bypass graft patients. We see these sternotomy wires. This is also very important to read. If there are any displacement or any abnormality with these wires, we have to mention in the report. So coming to the next, the X-ray number 24. Here we are seeing something abnormal or some extra thing we are seeing. Yes, this is a pacemaker. And coming to the last X-ray in the chest radiograph, that is, we are appreciating some round structure in near the cardiac shadow in left ventricle. This is a prostatic mitral valve. Yeah, coming to the pediatric chest X-rays, we have to see this is the thymic cell sign is normally seen in the pediatric child, and this is a 6-month-old child radiograph which is showing some patch and one area over here. This is known as a cell sign, which is very much normal. It should not be labeled as a pneumonia, but we should always remember the Spinnaker cell sign as well. In this case also we are seeing the cell sign, but this cell sign is lifted up. It is in the hila position. So we have to remember this is a case of pneumoperitoneum or pneumomediastinum. So there is a air in the mediastinum cavity, as well as we can appreciate there is a air. This is a continuous diaphragma sign known as pneumoperitoneum. So these two signs are very important in the pediatric chest radiographs. Coming to the next case, 3 months old with respiratory distress, cough and failure to thrive. Here we are appreciating that heart looks bit abnormal. It is heart, there is a cardiomegaly. The cardiothoracic ratio in this case, we can compare, this is the normal heart which looks in baby. So cardiothoracic ratio in adult it was 50%, but in pediatric cases it is 60%. So cardiothoracic ratio in this case it is normal, and this is a case of a cardiomegaly where the heart looks enlarged. So coming to the next case, 1 week old infant with cyanosis. Here you will appreciate the bilateral lung field looks grossly okay, but the heart shadow looks more than 60%, means cardiothoracic ratio is increased, and the shape of heart looks a bit abnormal to me. Anyone? Tough. Yes, this is a case of boot shaped heart known as tetralogy of Fallot, and tetralogy of Fallot is consistent of the pulmonary stenosis, VSD, right ventricular hypertrophy, and the overriding of aorta. And coming to the next X-ray, this is egg on string sign. We can see the shape of the heart. It looks like egg which is sitting on the left ventricle side. And this was the child with transposition of great arteries. And this was a case of TGA, where the mainly pulmonary artery was arising from left ventricle, and the aorta was seen arising from the right ventricle. And both of these two conditions I have diagnosed in a 5 months anomaly scan in my center. Both the tetralogy of Fallot and the transposition of great arteries, I have diagnosed it on an ultrasound. So coming to the next important phenomena in pediatric, we encounter so many pneumonia cases. So here one opacity, round opacity is seen near the hila, and we will appreciate there is some bronchograms, some linear markings are there, and this white patch and showing these air bronchograms means those air alveoli are getting filled with pus or any other fluid material or in blood. This indicates the bacterial nature of the pneumonia. If we see there is a pneumonia with air bronchogram, means that is a bacterial pneumonia. So and in this case, this could be a bronchogenic cyst as well, and this could be a fibroma, but that is a less rare entity. That's why we need a clinical history. Suppose patient is presented with fever, cough, and in a routine pneumonia picture, then we have to label it as a pneumonia. Then coming to the same boy, 8-year-old boy, he had the history of fever, cough, and lethargy, and this was a X-ray taken treatment, and this is the post-treatment. This child was given an empirical ampicillin treatment, and after the course of antibiotic, we will appreciate there is a complete resolution of this pneumonia patch. So moving to the more pneumonias, this is how the left middle and lower lobe, left mid zone and lower zone involvement of pneumonia by there is a very large white patch is seen. This is a case of necrotic pneumonia which was proven on CT chest, and here the lung fields looks more wide on both sides, and this is bilateral diffuse hypolysency, and this was also consistent with pneumonia, but this is a case of respiratory syncytial virus. So this was a viral pneumonia. Coming to the X-ray PNS, the X-ray PNS all of a sudden became important entity because of this COVID and mucormycosis. And what we see usually on a X-ray PNS, we see these are the frontal sinuses, and this is the nasal septum, and these are the maxillary sinuses, and these are the ethmoid sinuses. So we get to see the maxillary sinuses clearly in PNS view, and the wall of the maxillary sinus usually gets eroded or gets destructed in mucormycosis cases. So this is one case. Here the right maxillary sinus appears normal, whereas the left maxillary sinus we see the white opacity, white haziness in the left maxillary sinus, that is suggestive of maxillary sinusitis. So coming to the multiple myeloma and metastasis, so both are the differential diagnosis of each other, but classically we see the punched out lytic lesions in this lateral skull radiograph. So these are the punched out lytic lesions which are consistent with multiple myeloma, whereas in metastasis we won't see these punched out lytic lesions. There will be a lytic lesions, but the typical pattern indicates the multiple myeloma. And whereas in metastasis there is a involvement of vertebral body, this will involve, but the lesions will be of different sizes, but the classic pattern we won't see, and this is a soft tissue component of the same. This is a case of metastasis. So coming to the femoral neck fracture in short, we'll discuss. So femoral neck fracture is the most common fracture in adulthood. Because of fall history, they tend to get easily fractured, and in young patients, fractured femoral neck is seen on a high energy trauma. So this is actually femoral neck is supplied, mainly it is supplied by the median circumflex artery, and it has a complex vascular supply, and there is a complex the vascular supply to the femoral neck, and in this case we can appreciate the fracture femur neck, which is a subcapitate fracture femoral neck. And in this case, if in case of young patients they are getting this fracture femur neck, so it is an emergency and surgery is indicated, because we need to decompress those compressed vessels, because there are very delicate vessels, and the complex anatomical structure will be there. So to decompress the compressed vessels, we need to operate them immediately, and to avoid the further complications like AVN, that is avascular necrosis, and the next complication is malunion or non-union. So coming to the dental X-rays also known as OPG film, which means orthopantomogram. So this is the latest equipment, Extrofan 2000 HF, we are having installed in Adya Diagnostic Center 5 months back only, and this is how the normal OPG film looks. And what are the indications? So OPG film, in a single film we can overall evaluate the all 32 dentition. We can examine any bony pathology, and we can also evaluate the TM joints. these are the TM joints. We can evaluate the TM joints as well as we can evaluate the impacted teeth, and in case of fractures, we can also evaluate those things. And these are the advantages of OPG film. It shows entire dentition in a single image and useful in a patient with trismus and gagging problems, and it has a relatively very low radiation dose. So these are the coronoid processes, and and one more important thing, in dental X-ray we can see the maxillary sinuses very clearly, and we can comment on maxillary sinuses as well. So we'll see 2-3 cases. So this is an abnormal dental radiograph or OPG film which is showing there is a impacted tooth on both sides and one more partially erupted tooth on the left side. So this patient had a 2 to 3 problems in a single image. We are saying we are giving the information. So this is a zoomed up image which is showing there is a lytic lesion in the right half of the mandible with impacted tooth in it. This is a odontogenic keratogenic cyst, and also this is also an incidental finding on the OPG film. This is a lytic lesion which is involving the left side of the mandible. This is consistent with the abscess. So, and here also we can appreciate some lucency is coming just below the tooth, which is a radicular cyst or the periapical cyst. So as I told, we can also evaluate the mandible. So here we can see there is a lucent line. This is a oblique and the transverse line. Both are the undisplaced fractures on right side, and whereas there is a minimally displaced oblique fracture and the fracture is seen extending up to the tooth. So 3 fractures are appreciated in this film. So this is the usefulness of OPG film, where we can comment on all the teeth, fractures as well as impacted teeth. So coming to the ultrasound part, how to read an ultrasound abdomen and pelvis. So we are having the latest equipment with us, that is a GE Voluson E6 series, and we are having the 7 probes, which is the only probes I'm having with me, and in Nanded also there are no 7 probes are available. So with this machine, so this is an example of a normal abdomen and pelvis report which suggests the cholelithiasis. And the gallbladder shows multiple small calculi. Lithiasis means stone formation, nephrolithiasis means renal stone formations, and the cholelithiasis means the gallstone formation. So this is the image, how the ultrasound images looks. So this part is the liver portion, and this black, the pouch which is seen, that is the gallbladder, and the black area is the bile, and these are the hepatic veins, and this part, the circle is the IVC, and this is liver, and this is also the gallbladder, and this is IVC. This portion is the right kidney, and this is the left kidney. So, and this part is the spleen. So, and this is the pancreas. So coming to the pathology, as just now we have seen in a previous slide, this is the gallbladder, how it looks, and the gallbladder has no white density within, and it looks black. But when we see there is some opacity or some radiopaque density in gallbladder lumen, that suggests you of calculus. This is the stone in the gallbladder. So coming to the next case, this report says there is a minimal dilatation of pelvic ileal system and the ureter is mild dilated. So what it means there is some hydronephrosis is there, and hydronephrosis may be due to the back pressure changes, maybe due to renal stone, or maybe due to the prostatomegaly. So we'll see in our case, we can appreciate this is a post-void residual volume. Post-void residual volume means when patient urinates and still there is remaining of urine, and in this case this was 500 cc, which is very significant. And in this case the patient had a 60 cc or 60 grams of prostate, and the normal is up to 23 to 24 grams. But in this case there is a grade 3 prostatomegaly, right side mild hydronephrosis, and significant post-void residue, and mild bladder infection was also there, cystitis was also there. So why it was there? So we'll understand the kidney has the cortex and medulla portion and the pelvic calyceal system. These are the pelvises and these are the calyceal system. So whenever we say there is a minimal dilatation, means there is a fullness in this region, minimal dilatation or minimal fullness of pelvic calyceal system. And in our patient, this is the prostate gland. Usually this is of a lemon size and just sits below the urinary. This is the urinary bladder and this is the prostate gland, and this is the urethra, and the prostatic urethra is getting compressed over here in our case, and because of that there is obstruction and there is a back pressure changes and hydronephrosis is there. So usually we see 40 to 50 ml of urine is normal after passing the urine, but in our case it was 500. That was very much significant. So in our case it was due to the back pressure changes and that was due to bladder outlet obstruction. It was a case of hydronephrosis. So moving to the next emergency, in emergency we do the Doppler test to rule out the deep venous thrombosis. So these two black shadows represents, this is the common femoral artery and this is common femoral vein, and the common femoral vein which looks blue and which is showing normal color flow and on Doppler study, whereas in this is the normal case, whereas this is the abnormal case. Here common femoral artery looks normal, but in common femoral vein we are seeing something. This is a white area or some mixed kind of area, and when we put color on Doppler study, we are not able to appreciate the color on Doppler study, and means that is that the entire lumen is filled up with thrombus, and this is suggestive of deep venous thrombosis, which is an acute emergency and a life-threatening condition. It needs an emergency intervention. Coming to the peripheral artery disease, so many times we do arterial Doppler as well, and this is how this is the artery, and getting the artery, the walls of the artery we are seeing it is thick as compared to this venous flow, and there is a stenosis, means there is a white area is seen in a distal portion and there is a occlusion. This is a case of stenosis in femoral artery, and this is known as peripheral artery disease. So coming to the renal calcium concretion, so many doctors ask me about the calcium concretion and the renal calculus difference. So renal calcium concretion, the concretion in the kidney, it forms when the body is not hydrated enough, and which causes urine to become highly concentrated with different kinds of minerals, and it can occur due to presence of any underlying medical conditions like dehydration, thyroid dysfunction, obesity, gastric bypass surgeries, and other medical conditions which increases the risk of stone formation. So this is nothing but an pre-stone formation condition, and for that what treatment is necessary? Only a nutritious diet which is rich in fruits and vegetables. We have to cut down the salt intake, and we have to drink 3 to 4 liters of water regularly, and avoid foods that are high in salt and oxalate. So coming to the acute non-specific mesenteric nodes, so most of my reports in pediatric cases will be having non-specific mesenteric nodes. Usually we do have them. Normally we see non-specific mesenteric nodes, but whenever there are nodes which are associated with acute appendicitis or any other inflammatory etiology like intussusception, colitis, then those nodes are reactive, and those nodes when less than 8 mm, that is considered normal, but when it is exceeding 8 mm, it is known as enlarged mesenteric lymphadenopathy. And the non-specific mesenteric lymph nodes, also known as mesenteric lymphadenitis, it is a self-limiting inflammatory condition, and in this case only symptomatic treatment, supportive care including hydration and pain medication is advised. Nothing else to do, they will resolve automatically. Coming to the CT, I will discuss in a brief. Coming to the CT scan, the history of the CT. CT was invented by the Hounsfield Godfrey, a British engineer, and Alan Combrack, a South African physicist, in 1972. And however, the first CT scan, when it was taken, to take first one CT scan of the brain, it took 90 days. And in 1975, first full body scanner came into the picture. So this is how the normal CT scan of the patient looks like, and usually we see this is the frontal lobes, this is left frontal and this is the right frontal lobe, and this is the area is the temporal lobes, and this is parietal lobe, and these are the occipital lobes. So the white areas, the white area here is a caudate nucleus, and this is a putamen, and this is lentiform nucleus, and these three things consistent of basal ganglia, which is a very important structure in the brain, and these black structures are the lateral ventricles, and this should not be confused as a blood, because we'll see the next case. On CT scan the blood looks white, blood white दिखता है. So this is not a blood, this is a pineal gland calcification which is normal, and we see this this white area is also in a choroid plexus, which is normal thing. So these bilateral, lateral, these are the hypodense areas which are black, those are the lateral ventricles. Coming to the bone window, this is a bone window of the CT scan, and we look for any fractures, and also we look any soft tissue edema is there or not in these cases. And also the CT scan is very much helpful to look for the mastoids, and these are the right mastoid hair cells, and this is the left mastoid hair cells. And in case of mastoiditis, when our patient is presented with giddiness, that time CT scan with this bone window is very much helpful. And in bone window also we comment on the front, these are the sinuses which looks black on the CT. This is frontal sinus on right and left, and this is sphenoid sinuses. This is the maxillary sinus on left, maxillary sinus on right, and this is how the sphenoid sinus looks. So we comment on sinuses as well in CT scan, and also we can able to see the middle ear structures. The temporal bone also can be, or temporal anatomy also better delineated on CT scan. So coming to the abnormal case. So just now, as I told, this is the temporoparietal area which is very dark on left hand side as compared to right. Right side it is normal, but left side we are seeing some dark area in left frontal and temporal and parietal lobe. So this is a case of stroke, infarct. This patient presented with right-sided weakness. Whenever patient comes with right-sided weakness, we see infarct on the left side. And this is a case of infarct, and tumor also looks like same, but we need a clinical history for that, and we do contrast study. We inject a special dye and we do contrast, and then we differentiate the tumor and infarct. But in this case, this is a classical case of the MCA territory infarct, means this is involving the middle cerebral artery territory. So this is how the infarct looks on CT scan. So coming to the next abnormal case, and as I previously told, white area is a blood on CT scan. So this is the blood in basal ganglia. This patient came with he's a known case of hypertension, and the BP was, all of a sudden BP was shoot, and this is the case of IC bleed, intraparenchymal hemorrhage, and here we can appreciate there is blood also in the ventricle. So as I told, this black area is the right sided lateral ventricle, and this is the left side ventricle, but left side ventricle looks abnormal. There is this portion is normal, but here we are seeing white area. This is blood. Blood is entering into the intraventricles as well, but in this case there is no obvious midline shift, because patient, as soon as he came to our center, it was done, and we can appreciate there is a mild perilesional edema, means surrounding this white area we can appreciate this black stuff. This is the edema, and there is no midline shift. So coming to the hydrocephalus, this is how the radiograph of hydrocephalus looks, and this tube we are seeing, this is a VP shunt tube, and the chest, the radiograph of the skull shows there is hydrocephalus, a suspicion of hydrocephalus, and which is confirmed on the CT scan. Just now we have seen how the ventricles looks normally. The ventricles size should be like this much, the ventricles the size, but in our case the ventricles are hugely dilated, means that this is nothing but the black area is water, and water looks black on CT scan, and blood looks white. So this is a case of hydrocephalus. Coming to the CT thorax, how to nowadays in last year we have seen in pandemic CT score of 20, CT score of 15, and CORADS. What is this? We'll understand in a brief. So we are having two lungs, and right-sided lung has 3 lobes and left-sided lung has 2 lobes. Right side lung has upper lobe, middle lobe and the lower lobe. Left side lung has upper lobe and the lower lobe. So we give maximum of 25 score, and for one lobe we give 5 score, maximum score of 5. So each lobe is getting score of 5, 5, 5, means total 25 score we give. And now whenever we report, we do take the one lobe and we give the score of 5, that is from 1 to 5. So taking an example, when the lung only one lobe is involved, this is only for the single lobe. When 5% of the lung is in that lobe is involved, score 1 is given. 5 to 25% involvement is there, then score 2 is given. When 25 to 50% of lung involvement is then, there is score 3 is given, and 50 to 75% score 5, and more than 75 or up to 100% is involved, then it is score of 5. So we'll see the one example, and before going to that, the score of less than 8 is consistent with mild degree, and the score of 8 to 9 to 15 is considered as a moderate degree, and the score of more than 15 is considered as a severe degree, and when score more than 15 is considered a more severe. So this is an example of one case, and the involvement of right upper lobe was 25 to 50%, means score 3 was given, and the right middle lobe was involved 5%, that is score 1 given, and right lower lobe involvement 75 to 100% was there. So here the score 5 it will come. So here it is 5 the score, and left upper lobe 25 to 50% involved, 3 score was given. Left lower lobe was involved 75 to 100%, means 5 score was given. So total the score will come 17, means this case is a severe case, and this patient needs to be transferred to the highest dedicated COVID care center where the ICU and anesthetic setup will be available. So, and whenever there are mild cases, in mild cases they can get, and if without any other comorbidities, they can treated in a home quarantine or isolation or any fewer hospitals. Coming to the CORADS. CORADS is COVID data system and reporting, and this is only the level of suspicion. CORADS does not tell you that patient is having corona or COVID pneumonia. Only CORADS tells us there is a suspicion of COVID pneumonia. And in this case, we can see CORAD 1 means there is a no pneumonia. Means CORAD 1 means what? CORAD 1 means that chest CT scan is totally normal. There is no pneumonia only. And CORADS 2 means that is abnormality is there, means pneumonia is there, but it is not a COVID pneumonia. And when CORADS 3, it is a intermediate, means doubt है, intermediate nature, हो भी सकता है, नहीं भी हो सकता. And CORADS 4, there is a high doubt, म्हणजे इस बार उसको COVID या कोरोना असायचे chances जास्त आहेत. And COVID 5 means very high possibility that CT is showing the high chances of COVID-19, and CORAD 6 is nothing but the already PCR polymerase chain reaction positive, already testing has done and already patient is COVID positive, then we label it as CORAD 6. But one thing we should remember, CT scan could be normal before the RT-PCR, CT scan could be normal after RT-PCR. So this is very important because the sensitivity of CT scan is 98%. Whenever we scan 10 patients, suppose we have scanned, 8 patients will show COVID pneumonia, because in early stage, suppose the patient is on day 1 or day 2, the CT scan can be normal and the chest radiograph will be absolutely normal up to 70. So many patients they came to me asking, sir, X-ray was normal and CT scan was showing corona. You can happen because moving to the next slide, how COVID looks on the CT thorax. So these are the various cases. Here we can appreciate there are white patches. These white patches on CT, we label it as a ground glass opacities or ground glass haziness. So in this case, there are opacities distributed peripherally, and this was a case of a mild case. And here we can see the opacities which are distributed in both lungs. Only 3 to 4 opacities are seen. This was also a case of mild COVID case. The score of in between 5 to 8. And this is only, we can appreciate here, only in periphery, only one patch is there, or ground glass opacity is there. So this is also a mild case. And in this case, we can appreciate there are some opacities only base region, and this was also a case of mild. But coming to the next case, we can see there is a opacity or white patch, and here is a large white patch with some air bronchograms within. So this is a pneumonia, and this is a high suspicion. This is we label it as a CORAD 5 with moderate score, a score of 9 to 15. So this was a 15 score, and this we can see here
entire lobes are involved by the white patches. So this is a severe case. This score was more than 20. So this is a CORAD 6. It was already pre-approved. So this is how the COVID pneumonia looks on CT chest. Coming to the MRI in brief, this is how the MRI looks, and this the pink color area represents the frontal lobe, and this is the temporal lobe, and this area, the blue colored area, is the parietal lobe, and this is the occipital lobe. And the basal ganglia, as already we have discussed in CT, basal ganglia consists of 3 parts. This part is the caudate nucleus, and this portion is the thalamus, and this is lentiform nucleus, and this portion is the insular ribbon, insula. So, in MRI, we use a special two sequences, that is diffusion weighted images and the ADC mapping images. So, in this case, there is white area, white patch we are seeing on the right hand side. This is getting black on the next image. That is means there is a infarct. So this is known as diffusion restriction. This white area becoming black means this is infarct, and this patient presented with left-sided weakness, and he is having the infarct in right intercerebral artery territory. And moving to the next case, this patient came with right-sided weakness, swelling of speech since 2 days. This patient delayed, he didn't visit the hospital, and we see the massive infarct involving left side, left middle cerebral artery, as well as posterior lobe is also involved, occipital lobe, temporal lobe, and the part of the frontal lobe is also involved. And this same area is getting black on the ADC image, means this is infarct. And if you do have blood, means this white area will be fibrosis here. Suppose this white area and this white area, then it is blood, and this white area is very
on subsequent images means this is a infarct or stroke, a paralysis patient. So coming to the, I will discuss only 2 cases from my clinic. This is a 80-year male who came with urinary complaints actually, and it was incidental finding detected on ultrasound, and the chest X-ray I was done as a screening. So in this case, anyone can comment on this chest radiograph? Yes, this is a case of dextrocardia. As initially I told you that we have to see the marker. This is right side and this is the left side, and the aorta usually should be on left side, but in this case the aorta is on right hand side, and we can see the stomach bubble which is also on the right hand side. Stomach bubble should be usually here on left side, but in this case the stomach bubble was on right side, and the ultrasound of the patient was done, and the liver was on left and the spleen was on right, and the right kidney was on left side and the left kidney was on right side, the gallbladder was on left. So this was a complete mirror image dextrocardia with situs inversus totalis, and this patient had a sinusitis as well. So I have advised this patient for a CT scan, but unfortunately I couldn't get the review, and this was a case of suspected case of Carter-Jenner syndrome. So coming to the next, this is a 14-year female who came to the our Adya center for ultrasound abdomen for complaining of pain abdomen, but I had a suspicion in her face, so we did X-ray screenings, and in this case we can appreciate this is the skull radiograph anterior view, and we have included the thorax part as well. So in this case, this is the anterior fontanelle, which is widely open. The anterior fontanelle is not closed, and the coronal suture, there is a gap in between in the coronal suture as well. And we can see this was the case. In this case, there was an open anterior fontanelle, bilateral absent clavicles. However, bone density was normal, dysmorphic skull was there, wide anterior fontanelle, partial metopic suture, prominent coronal sutures, hypoplastic or absent clavicles, and absent nasal bone. Left, one more finding was there, and here we can see there is an extra rib is there on left on the neck area. This is known as cervical rib, which is also present in this case. So this was a classical case of cleidocranial dysostosis and Apert syndrome, which is a very, very rare syndrome, which I have encountered during my this practice. And here I will finish my talk, and I would like to express my deep gratitude to all my respected teachers and the referral doctors. And I would like to express my special thanks of gratitude to respected Dr. Dilip Punde sir, Marathwada Bhushan, and my guru. And he always guided me in every manner. Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you. Thanks to all my patients. And lastly, I would like to thank my ADC staff. And thank you all.